Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video we have more big Retribution Paladin changes. Second week in a row where I get on as soon as I can to do some raid testing, but I log in, I first see that there are some changes, and then in this case even more changes come out, and those changes are a big nerf that that everyone should have been expecting, but I've been preparing people for, and a change to the tier set bonus, which I think most people will at least accept, if not be happy about. And so we're going to talk about those two things, change to the tier set bonuses, and then the big nerf. So let's go ahead and start with the W, and we'll start with the tier set bonus changes. Retribution, new 2-set. Judgment, Blade of Justice, and Wake of Ashes damage increased by 15%. So, Consecration meta is dead. Thank goodness. Now, I guess let's read the 4-set as well. So these are our builders. Damage increased by 15%, and Templar's Verdict, Final Verdict, and Divine Storm damage increased by 10%. So let's read the developer's note. We heard that the previous class set was going to impact your rotational decisions negatively, and it had limited value in AoE. It did not have limited value in AoE, but I don't know. The Consecration damage, it was absolutely insane for AoE. The new 2-set bonus empowers your strongest holy power generators, and the 4-set boosts your big damage spenders. So this is extremely boring and everything like that, but this is just like everyone else's. Now, this will be a damage nerf compared to where the Consecration was at, but I promise you it was not going to go live at that current amount of damage for Consecration, right? And what was going to happen is other things were going to get nerfed, and it was just going to be a shit show. I'm just going to be completely honest here. Other things were going to get nerfed to make the Consecration remain relevant, and it would end up being your number one damage ability on single target, multi-target, everything. And it's just good to get rid of it because there's more important things for them to worry about tuning than tuning around Consecration damage. So this is actually a huge W. Now, it's not exciting by any means. It's just a flat damage gain. You just gain some damage on your builders, and you gain some damage on your spenders. It isn't a huge amount of DPS increase. It's like, it neither's most of these, right, for other people. So, like Shadow, that's just showing what it was reduced to. It doesn't show what they are, but on this page. But if you look up other people's specs, they're not, like, dissimilar from this, right? This is very common. I don't know where it will put us at for, like, ranking wise or whatever as far as damage goes, but it seems to be in line, maybe on the lower end of the baseline, but it seems to be pretty normal. So in my opinion, it's a huge W because I think it was just going to be awful to balance around the Consecration damage and tune around that, because you can't just completely make Consecration worthless, because then you make the tier set completely worthless, right? So instead you tune other stuff around it. I just think that's a horrible idea. It also just, and something I didn't mention in my video about the Consecration stuff, is that and maybe I mentioned it slightly, but I didn't spend enough time on it, honestly, is that they said that they didn't want it to affect your rotation, whereas this is hugely affecting your rotation. Like I said in that video, not even wanting to press your Crusader Strike because it could possibly screw up your Consecration damage, and you only want to press Crusader Strike directly after a Consecration, and it just affects your rotation and your stuff so much. And also then to min-max it by throwing a Divine Storm in to get the Sanctify buff on your Consecration as well, even on single target, right? That's huge changes to your rotation and your gameplay, and that's not what these are supposed to be. These are all supposed to be boring or whatever, and ours was not boring, which was good. That's the part I liked about it, and I was positive about in the Consecration video. It was not boring, but it was just like a bad spell to be pumped up. And I don't mind, and I've always been on this train. I don't mind Consecration being strong or Consecration being useful, but they do need to like put some effort into it. Consecration needs to move with you, right? Or you need to be able to put it down like a reticle or something. I don't really want another reticle, so it just needs to move with you, right? Like Consecration needs to be able to move with you, and it needs to have other things affected too. It needs to have its radius be bigger just naturally, right? It needs to be big like a blizzard or something like that, rain of fire. And that's how Consecration needs to work if it's going to end up ever being like a thing, like a main thing. And it can't just be, oh, you have this huge buff to consecration, but it's this tiny little circle that doesn't move, and things move out of it all the time, and it's just terrible. So I'm not against consecration. I just would like to see them put effort into it if they're going to make it a thing. Like the number one thing is it needs to move with you, right? If it's ever going to be a big damage thing, like that should be like they should do something in the next tier. 2-set bonus, consecration moves with you and does 100% more damage. 4-set, if you do this thing, another thing that you track or whatever, your consecration does even more damage. Then I'm fine with it because it moves with you, so it doesn't feel terrible if something moves out of it. But yeah, this is overall a W. I don't think they're going to rework consecration to move with you. So since that's the case, this is just a good thing, and it is a W. So next we'll move on to the L, the loss here. Now this is something that you should have known was coming. If you watch my channel, you know this was coming. So they added this one during the testing while I was testing. Divine Storm damage reduced by 35%. You might think that's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. It's a lot of damage reduction. Retribution, other Retribution changes. There's some general Paladin changes too that matter. Greater Judgment. Judgment now causes the target to take 20% increased damage instead of 25%, so that's a slight nerf. Seal of Crusader, holy damage taken by 3 to 6. It was 5 to 10, so Seal of Crusader nerfed. Divine Purpose increases. Divine Purpose was nerfed as well. The Zealot's Paragon extension was nerfed. Now this is a big nerf. The Zealot's Paragon one. This is the one I don't like. This is the biggest thing that I would fight against. I know why, right? Because it's just like you were getting ridiculous uptime on your wings or Crusader or whatever, like ridiculous uptime if you play it right. So this is reverted back to the 0.5 seconds, which the problem is at 0.5 seconds, it's not that good. And then at 1 second, it's like insanely good. So it's like, where's the balance there? Because they're not going to do like 0.75. So where's the balance there? I think the answer is you put it back to 1 second and you nerf something else instead, right? You nerf like the spender damage like they did here, or just flat damage nerf. So Templar's Verdict reduced by 35%, Final Verdict by 35%. Those do not stack, obviously. That's just depending on what talent you have. The Divine Storm, 35%. So basically, spenders were nerfed by 35%. They did forget to nerf Justicar's Vengeance. So technically, Justicar's Vengeance is like your best spender right now. That will be nerfed, obviously. That's not going to be the case going forward. Zeal was nerfed. Judgment now causes your next 2 auto attacks to occur 30% faster. It was your next 3. I don't like this nerf either. Ashes to Dust is now a 20% chance to reset Wake of Ashes instead of Blade of Justice. It was 35%. So Ashes to Dust is just, it was already pretty much dead with the Art of War nerfs. Ashes to Dust is just completely worthless now. That's just a dead talent spot, really. Execution Sentence deals 10% of damage done, was 20. That's a 50% nerf. Execution Sentence was already dead. These are 2 nerfs to things that were already dead. A little bit puzzling there. Templars, but on the plus side, we weren't using them anyways, as of right now, so it doesn't really affect us. Templar's Vindication changed to a 15% chance of a 10 to 20% Templar's Verdict, was a 30% chance of a 15%, 30% chance Templar's Verdict. So this was obviously nerfed as well. Templar's Vindication, that being the conduit from Shadowlands, was nerfed as well, which is fine. That goes in line with the spender being too powerful. And when you have Final Verdict, you have to have Templar's Vindication, so that makes sense as well. So what you see here is you see 2 things, technically 3 things, and then plus Divine Storm. So 4 things that we could pretty much guarantee we're going to get nerfed and needed to be nerfed. I know people don't like to hear that, but you can't just be like 50% stronger than the next class. Like it obviously had to be nerfed. The ones I do not like to see is the Zealot's Paragon being nerfed. I don't like the Zeal being nerfed, and I don't like Ashes to Dust just being killed even more. This needs to be brought back, not killed, not like stomped on in the grave. So I don't like that either. So that's where we are right now on this. So mostly things that were expected. That's why it's an L, but it's like these things had to happen. I saw some people posting some logs of single target. Basically, it was putting them back to the pack and single target. On AoE, again, I think it's just going to kind of bring us back to the pack. I don't think this actually makes us the worst class or anything like that by any means. I think now we're just more baseline, and the changes from here should be more small changes instead of these big ham-handed changes. The things, if you want to fight for something, fight for Art of War revert, fight for, not ruining Zeal, not ruining the Wake reset, stuff like that. Fight, and like Ashes to Ashes being nerfed through the Art of War nerfs. Those are the things, if you want to have fun playing the class, those are the things you want to go with. So I like to kind of give like updates on the builds as I do them, as we get changes and stuff. So this is what I have for a single target build right now. TBD if it's going to be good. Now this is accounting for the consecration already being gone, right? Already having the tier set change, which is not going to happen till the next build. The hot fixes for the damage done was put right into the game, but the tier set will not be till the next build comes out. So whether that's tomorrow or next week or whenever. So over here is pretty much exactly the same. Now with Divine Purpose being nerfed even more, you pretty much, that was already not going to be taken very much. Like I was saying, maybe in some AoE situations it would be taken. But that's not as big of a deal anymore. So you can, pretty much, I talked about these three kind of being dead. I would stick by that at this point, right? And so you just kind of do the same exact thing that you would normally do. Nothing really changed as far as that goes, because even while some stuff was nerfed, it's not like they added different damage abilities. You're just taking every bit of damage, and then these are the ones you kind of skip over here. On this side, though, it's some pretty big changes overall. For single target, this is very similar to my other single target build. I'm leaning a little bit more on some of these abilities over here. Just because, I had to put points somewhere, and a lot of these things don't make sense to take anymore. So it doesn't make sense to take the Wake reset. Even in my last video, I said that. You don't have to worry about taking Sanctify anymore, in my opinion, because you're not going to be hard casting a Divine Storm for Consecration. There's pretty much nothing down here you need to take at all for single target. So yeah, you just are taking this now. There could be some, maybe a point that you could move somewhere to get another sealed verdict point in here over here. But I don't know if that'll be the case or not. I'm mostly just focusing on doing the same thing as I was doing with the Vanguard's Momentum, but it is highly nerfed because it goes so well with Paragon. It's highly nerfed when that gets nerfed. So there'll be, maybe Vanguard's Momentum isn't even good anymore, and you take points or a point out of that. I know some people were speculating you'll even grab Divine Resonance as your only capstone because these abilities are so bad down here. Final Reckoning is not a bad ability, but to take I think I'm getting DC'd. Where's my computer? But to go down and take Final Reckoning usually is not, disconnected. Let's see if it reconnects. But to take Final Reckoning, it doesn't feel that good, especially on single target. On multi-target, it's good still and fine. But on single target, it's just not something you'd want to go down and take. It doesn't really affect you that much. It's not like you have this high octane divine or execution sentence to use. They nerfed execution sentence even more, so it's not a very useful thing overall. But yeah, like I said, I did do some raid testing today as well. I did about an hour and a half. I did the first boss for an hour. I did the spider boss for a half hour before I needed to get off at that time. But it was a little bit fun. Honestly, I was pumping on the AoE fight, like ridiculously high damage, and so that's why they put in that Divine Storm nerf mid fight, mid raid there, was because the damage was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, easily doing over 100k sustained on a council fight, just because it was just such ridiculous damage. So that was a worthy nerf for sure. But had fun doing that, and then the spider boss, the group I was in wasn't learning it very quickly, and I needed to go anyways. So it seemed like a really, really cool fight though, as far as thematically. I don't know about practically, but thematically it seemed pretty strong. So that was my only takeaway from that. But yeah, overall, this puts us back to the baseline. It puts our tier sets more back to the baseline and similar to other people's. And it's important to know, and I'll keep harping on this, to just fight for the things that make the spec more fun to play. It's more fun to play when Paragon is 1 second and not 0.5. Okay, so it's more fun that way. It's more fun to play when Art of War procs happen more often. It's more fun to play when, therefore, the Ashes to Ashes is stronger. It's more fun to play when Ashes to Dust is at least an option, right? These things are more fun when that's the case. It's more fun to play this spec. Right now, it's literally just builders into a big spender, and our spenders just got nerfed back to everyone else, so it took a lot of the fun out of the spec. And when it comes to beta right now with the tuning we just saw, the tier sets could be changed literally 1 week from 1 week to the next, right? It's not about that. It's about the gameplay right now. And it's important to fight for the right things. It's important to post about the right things, to doom about the right things. And what you should be thinking about is the things that make the spec fun to play. And, you know, some people say there is no fun playing Rat. But the only things that make it fun to play for me are like extending my wings with Paragon, and the Art of War, and like the Shadowlands Season 4 stuff with the Ashes to Ashes and Zeal and Blade of Wrath being good and Art of War being really good, right? Those are the things that make it kind of fun to play right now. And so they removed a lot of the fun. We still have some of the power. Like, we're still competitive high-end DPS. We still have some of the power, but we don't have any of the fun. And so just remember that when you're complaining about things. Don't complain that we need Divine Storm to be buffed by 20% more or something like that. You know, complain that we need more Art of War procs. That's what I'd be asking for people to do. So that's it for this one. I will possibly do some video about the raid testing or something tomorrow or whenever. But I did want to touch on these changes. We have one W that's just kind of like a quality of life W. And then we had the L that we knew was coming. So as always, I do ask you to please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.